Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the DC Capstone Report. It is great to be back with you for another podcast on Alabama football. Well, I want to thank Lance Shores, who is in the studio producing this podcast. He makes everything work each and every week. I want to thank our sponsors, RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com, for some great Alabama content. If you want to see some great Alabama pictures for the football game, Lance is the one that you should check out at RollTideBama.com or FreelancePictures.com. As always, I want to thank our sponsor, Karen Cottingham, Realtor with the Williams Group at Keller Williams right here in Tuscaloosa. For all your real estate needs, reach out to Karen at 205-887-4008. If you need to sell or buy condos, houses, whatever you need, she can take care of all your real estate needs. That's Karen Cottingham, Realtor right here in Tuscaloosa with the Williams Group at Keller Williams. Well, today on the podcast, we get to talk about the victory over the Georgia Bulldogs. It was a great win on the road, and we're going to get straight into that in our first segment. We'll review the Georgia game. In our second segment, we're going to talk about our players of the game. And then in our third and final segment, we're going to preview the upcoming game against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Well, welcome back to the DC Capstone Report. In our first segment today, we're going to take a review of the game against the Georgia Bulldogs. Well, Saturday night, there in Athens, Georgia, Alabama went in on the road to try to dispel all the rumors about they could not play on the road, could not get up for the big games, and couldn't handle the Georgia team. So it didn't look like many people picked them to win. But, last week on the podcast, I picked them to win this game. I picked them to win 38-31. The actual victory was 24-21. But everything that we talked about last week that we needed to do on the road happened on the road against Georgia. The review of this game has to center around starting fast. That's exactly what we did. We came out and started fast. Got them 3 and out on the defensive side of the ball, and then drove the ball down the field, even after missing a deep pass, which I thought was very important. Even after missing a deep pass to Ryan Williams, who completely dropped a touchdown, we did not let that rattle us. We came back. We didn't let adversity or mistakes get in the way, and we came back and scored a touchdown on that drive, which I thought was super, super important in this game. And then we were able to get off the field again, and we came back a second drive and scored and put them down 14-0. I think that was the play of the game, in my opinion, was starting fast. And the thing that made the difference in this game, I believe, was when we dropped the touchdown pass. When we dropped the touchdown pass, we continued on and played well the rest of the drive and scored a touchdown. Georgia did the same thing in the second half, dropped a wide open touchdown pass, but that drive ended in a punt. So they didn't get any score out of that. So I think that was the difference in the game. The other thing I think of the difference in the game was Alabama's third down efficiency. Alabama played so well on third down. On their third downs, they were 13 of 19 on third downs. At one time, they were 7 of 7 on a drive on third down efficiency. So that means that Georgia could not get off the field on defense. And what happened was Alabama's third down efficiency helped the Georgia's team stay on the field defensively and tired them out later in the game, I think. And we really made a difference on keeping the plays alive, and I think Ty Simpson did a great job of making pass plays to different receivers at just the right time. We were able to get the ball to Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, and Caleb Edwards, a freshman tight end, for some key catches over the middle. I think third down efficiency was huge in this. Another thing I thought was huge in reviewing the game was looking at no mistakes. We didn't have any turnovers. We didn't have any penalties. We didn't have any turnovers for the whole all season. Ty Simpson hasn't thrown a pass interception, and he hasn't had a fumble. So I think that's really been good. We've been taking care of the ball both on turnovers and in penalties. This was the first game, I believe, where the Caleb DeVore coached team at Alabama, where he's coached at Alabama, that they had less penalties than their opponent. So another great game with that. I think that we played well on offense, starting with the offensive line. If you notice anything in this game, we shuffled offensive linemen a lot. We played multiple offensive linemen on the field to try to help our running game, and I thought it did well. Now, we didn't run the ball with explosive plays. But when you look at the rushing yards, we had 117 rushing yards, and I believe that we were able to advance the ball when we needed to, take time off the clock by sustaining drives, take the air out of the ball some, and really making some plays. It was key having Jam Miller back. I thought he ran well, and thought Kevin Riley ran well. But one thing that Jam Miller brought was he had a couple of great blocks that gave Ty Simpson time to throw the ball when Georgia was pressing in, allowed to make some of those great third down conversions. So that was really, really good in my opinion. So the offensive line play is improving. Is it great? No, but it is improving. I like the idea of bringing in Jackson Lloyd, giving him some time, along with Dewberry and Vandermark, and then on the right side of the ball, I like the play that they had there, intertwining between Wilkin Formby and the freshman coming in and playing on that tackle versus guard position. I believe that that's something that we're going to see more of today in the press conference. Ryan Grubb talked about that, and he said that you're trying to get a best on the field, but paying multiple players gives a chance to compete, and it gives them a good edge against each one trying to play in their position. And he said by bringing Wilkin Formby into the middle of the field, a little closer, he was able to use his bulk and his hand in the dirt and play well in the run game and in the pass protection at trying him at guard instead of tackle. So when you got somebody like Michael Carroll, a freshman, who can play the tackle position, then you have the liberty to use him, Wilkin Formby, a big body, at the guard position. So I believe that instead of finding the right five, they've got about 7 or 8 players that they feel comfortable playing, and I believe we're going to see that continue on until they find the right set of players at the right time for the certain plays. I think the other thing on the offensive side of the ball was so good was Ryan Grubb's play calling. He didn't feel like he had to be conservative. He called some really good plays, really good pass plays, really good run plays. He brought some trick plays. Some of them worked, and some of them didn't work as good as he'd want. But I think that's great. The trick play that he called to the tackle on the left side, when he threw that out there, it was actually a lateral. It ended up being a 13-yard run for a first down. I mean, that was really good to get that first down, and he almost could have scored. But Caden Proctor, having the guts to make that call to an offensive tackle in a game in Georgia with 13 or so minutes left in the game, I think that is left in the half. I think that is a huge guts on Ryan Grubb's part. So I believe his playmaking, his play calling ability is evolved, and I think he's got this team playing well and in a position offensively. On defense, I thought we did really well, I believe, on Georgia in the passing game, held them to only 130-yard passing, but we gave up some rushing, 227 yards rushing. But the one thing I saw about that, about 6 of those plays were plays that they got good explosive plays on. That's where the bulk of their rushing yards came from. So there's some things in there that we can correct on eye discipline and sound gap coverage. If we can do that and get those corrected, then I think our rushing defense is going to be good. But I can't say enough about our pass defense. The only breakdown we had was the long touchdown pass that Damani Jackson just fell for the sluggo, the slant and go, and got beat over the top on that one play. But other than that, 130 yards passing, I think is a great day, any day, that you can hold a team like Georgia to 130-yard passing. So overall, I think this was a sound play on defense and offense. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. Alabama has a lot of room to improve on each side of the ball. I think Ty Simpson did a good job, but he wasn't perfect. I don't think you can point to anyone on the field on Alabama's side that was perfect on each side of the ball. I will say that it was unfortunate to lose such a great defensive player in Quay Russaw. Lost him to a broken foot and he had surgery. He's not done for the year, but we already know that Jamarian Latham is done for the year, so that's something to watch going forward. How is Alabama going to be able to play edge rusher and be able to set the edge? If one thing that we didn't do well in this game against Georgia that caused some of those explosive plays is we didn't get the leverage correct on the edge. We got the ball, stopped it good going at the middle, but we didn't stop it well running to the edge. We've got to correct that going forward, if we're going to compete in the SEC and continue our winning ways. Well, welcome back to the DC Capstone Report. Here in the second segment, we're going to take a look at our players of the game. Well, there's a multitude of players we can choose from, but on the offense, I can't go any further than Ty Simpson, the quarterback. I believe that when you look at this game, he made this game go so well for Alabama. He helped at the third down efficiency. He helped in calling the right plays, getting us in the right plays, communicating on the road. He did such a great job. He was 24 of 38 for 276 yards and 2 TDs and no interceptions. And I think he just did a really good job of getting us in the right play, choosing the right person to get the ball to, and really a really good job of throwing to multiple receivers in this game. You got Isaiah Horton involved, Ryan Williams involved, Lazier Brooks, Kevin Riley, Jeremy Bernard, Josh Wavis, Jameer Miller, and Caleb Edwards all got into the passes. All were able to catch passes in this game. So it's great when you see a quarterback so comfortable. He's able to play and throw the ball around like that to multiple receivers, and I think that helps him as well. Plus, the offensive line gave him a chance to get the ball out and throw the ball in this game. So on the offensive side of the ball, he's my player of the game, and I believe he's also the offensive player of the SEC this week as well. So on offense, my player of the game is Ty Simpson. And on defense, I just want to recognize a player who was involved in 6 tackles and a sack, and that's L.T. Overton. I think L.T. Overton played a great game. In a game where James Smith got tossed out because of I don't understand what targeting is anymore, but called him targeting and got tossed out in this game. It left us really kind of thin on the defensive line. But Tim Keenan coming back, did well and played well. You had Edric Hill playing well. But then you got L.T. Overton, who has been so solid all year long on the defensive side of the ball. And he made some really great plays, including on that 4th down where Georgia hurried up, 4th down in our territory, trying to get a first down, trying to get a touchdown. And instead of taking the field goal, they rush it in, and their running back goes to his right, and L.T. Overton shoots the gap, gets in the backfield, and trips him up to save us on 4th down. What a great play that was, a great individual effort. But overall, he had a great game, being involved in 6 tackles and playing so well, being gap sound and getting to the ball. So on defense, my player of the game is L.T. Overton. So my players of the game this week: on offense, Ty Simpson, and on defense, L.T. Overton. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the DC Capstone Report. It is great to be back with you on this podcast on Alabama football. I want to thank Lance Shores again and doing everything in the studio to get this going. If you're coming out this week to the Vanderbilt game, you need to make sure you check out Lance's sites, RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com. He's going to have some great pictures up on for the Vandy game after the game this Saturday. Also, don't forget our sponsor, Karen Cottingham, a realtor right here in Tuscaloosa with the Williams Group at Keller Williams. For all your real estate needs, contact Karen at 205-887-4008. And now on to our third and final segment. We're going to preview the upcoming game against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Vandy is going to come in, hottest team in the SEC right now with a 5-0 record. Feel like they can beat anybody. They're going to come into Bryant-Denny Stadium with a chip on their shoulder because they were able to beat us last year at their stadium. Diego Pavia and all of his wide receivers and all of his line from last year are back on offense. And I believe that you're going to see them come in with the belief that they can beat Alabama at home and send shockwaves to the SEC by moving to staying undefeated and beating Alabama at home. So in this particular game, it's going to be at 2:30 in the afternoon, national television audience, game day in town. This particular game sets up perfect for Vanderbilt to make a name for itself. So they got something to play for in this game. But just because they do doesn't mean we're going to roll over and let them come in and have their way in this game. Alabama has something to play for too. Can we handle success? We come off a big victory against Georgia, just like we did last year, and now we're going to come back and play Vanderbilt. Some say we had a letdown last year, and that caused us to lose the game at Vanderbilt. But if you look closely at that game, it was because we had turnovers in the game, got behind, and couldn't run the ball in that game. We had some turnovers that cost cost us that game. We couldn't run the ball. We couldn't stop Diego Pavia on some of his runs that extended his play. So that's what really, I think, lost that game. I believe Alabama's going to come into this game and they're going to find a way this week to kind of hone in on beating Vanderbilt. Not to say it's a revenge game, but I believe everybody on the team remembers how it felt losing on the road at Vanderbilt last year, and I don't believe that's going to be forgotten about in this game. So what are some of the keys to victory? Well, just like it is in every game, we got to have no turnovers and no mistakes. That was a problem last year. We can't have turnovers and mistakes if we expect to beat Vanderbilt. They're a good, sound team. A good, sound team. They're going to come in with the momentum of a 5-0 record, and they're going to come in with the faith and belief that they can beat Alabama since they already did last year. So this is not your old Vanderbilt team. Clark Lee has this team playing on rail and really sound on both sides of the ball. So we got to come in with no turnovers and no mistakes if we expect to do this. On offense, we need to run the ball to set up the pass. We need to be able to run effectively against this Vanderbilt defense. Now, they have been known in the past for Clark Lee has some great defensive schemes that have been able to thwart running games and force in the passing games and cover a nice zone, give tight windows on, get the ball in. Well, I believe that one thing I think about this Vanderbilt team that I think is going to make a difference in this game is I don't believe their defense is up to par as it has been in past years under Clark Lee. If the offense has got a lot of players coming back and they're really good offensively, but I don't think they're as good defensively as they were last year. In my opinion, based on the games that they played so far, they've got a lot of things on tape that I think we can take advantage of. Last week they beat Utah State, but Utah State put up 35 points against this team. So there are some things to be taken advantage of when we have offense, and that is we need to run the ball and then pass the ball into some opportunities to make some explosive plays. So I believe we're going to be able to make some explosive plays on offense, running the ball and passing the ball, and have a chance to really do a good job in this game. So what do we do when they have the ball? Well, the name of the game is Diego Pavia. When he has the ball in his hands, he has the ball in his hands every play on offense. He starts with, since he's the quarterback, he has a way of making things happen. And today we learned when we looked at the coaches talk is he has improved as a elite quarterback this year, not just a playmaker on running the ball. He can throw the ball. He had 5 touchdown passes last game against Utah State. He runs the ball well. We have got to find a way to stop him making explosive plays in this game. Keep him contained in the pocket. And it's going to be difficult to do that without some of our best players. We won't have James Smith to start, and we won't have Jamarian Latham or Quay Rousseau. We're going to have to replace those. Justin Hill is the next guy up, number 8. Watch for him. The next guy up to get pressure on the quarterback. We got to be sound on the outside and keep leverage to keep him in the pocket in order to make him stay in the pocket and not extend plays with his legs. If we can do that and take him out of the ball game and then impede his ability to get the ball to the playmakers, then we have a good chance of stopping him in this game. The last thing we need to do is keep the momentum that we gained against Georgia, and we don't need to have a lull. We have to have a start fast in this game. No hangover from the win against Georgia. We need to bury that and make sure that we can come out, start fast, and really do our best to put it away early in this game. And I think that Alabama's going to do that. I believe we're ready. I believe we have turned the corner on this team's identity, being a team that can come back from that adversity and do well. And I don't believe in this game we're going to be able to forget how we felt walking out the field at Vanderbilt last year, how we felt losing that game. So if we come in and play as we've talked about, with no turnovers and mistakes, and we run the ball to set up the pass and make some explosive plays in the passing game, and our defense is able to contain Pavia, then I think Alabama gets up well early in this game and then holds on for victory. I got Alabama win this game against Vanderbilt. Alabama 52, Vanderbilt 21. Well, that's the game. The podcast this week on the game. Look forward to each and every one of you sharing this with your friends. Tell your friends about it. Like it. at facebook.com or DC Capstone Report, facebook.com, dccapstonereport.com. Find us on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at DavidCott50 if you'd like to follow me there. And you can also listen to us on Spotify. Well, for Lance Shores, who's in the studio doing everything to get this podcast ready for us and making it well, we thank you for listening. We appreciate it. We look forward to our next time together. So this is DC with the DC Capstone Report signing off with a big Roll Tide.